Welcome to Event Experience by Bizzabo, the podcast where we bring the best and brightest event experience leaders together to share stories, tips, and lessons learned from creating some of the world's biggest events. I'm Rachel Moore, your podcast host. We're welcoming back Chris Duke, the head of brand experiences at Glean, who you may have seen in Bizzabo's recent webinar, AI Masterclass. We take this episode to expand even more on the evolving landscape of event planning, the role of AI in enhancing productivity, and how event professionals can embrace these technologies to improve their work. If you're taking in this episode after watching the webinar, you're truly AI first in your approach to great event experience. Welcome back, everyone, to the next episode in your queue of Event Experience by Bizzabo. I'm your host, Rachel Moore, and really delighted to tee up today's guest for you. He is the head of brand experiences at Glean, leading global events, live productions, brand advertising campaigns, and executive and customer engagements. He's previously driven event and brand initiatives at Greylock Venture Partners, Robinhood, Rubrik, GoPro, and Red Bull, creating experiences that connect audiences through creativity and storytelling. His expertise spans experiential marketing, sports marketing, and large-scale brand activations. Thus, he is the perfect guest to have here on the podcast. Really excited to welcome back to Bizzabo, Chris Duke. Chris, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Of course. I said once again, because we did recently have you as the featured panelist on a webinar. We're actually going to give our audience a little bit more of a chance to get to know you with some get to know you questions. So if anyone has seen the webinar, this next question might be a little bit of a repeat, but we're going to do it anyway for our podcast listeners. With the world of event planning, knowing that these often entail very long days on our feet, would love to know, Chris, what are your go-to on-the-ground event day shoes you prefer to wear?
Yeah. So 90% of the time they're Nikes. The 5% of the time I realized I was at Amazon reInvent last week for their major conference, and I had thrown some New Balances on, and I walked out the door. I was like, "Oh, this is new." That was new for me. I thought about our webinar actually when I put those on. This week I have to wear, a little bit more business professional. So I think it doesn't matter what the shoe is as long as there's some inserts in it. So
yes,
that's the key. The gel thing that's really important. So it doesn't matter what the shoe is as long as the inserts are good.
Excellent. Yes, myself and my family agree with you wholeheartedly, and I love that you put the new into New Balance. So glad we heard about that. Thank you for that rec. Is there anything that you're listening to, watching, or reading these days that you can't put down? And it doesn't have to be events related.
I love shows and TV. I'm the biggest Game of Thrones fan probably ever. So I'm excited. There's a couple new shows or seasons coming out of that. I'm currently watching Stranger Things. I think everyone's probably watching that right now, at least the first part of the last season. So we've got the next ones coming out on Christmas Day, I think. And then I'm reading a book called Red Rising, which is a fantasy series. I like to read sort of I don't know. I'd like to just leave my world sometimes, which whatever. So I enjoy those types of books. And so I'm currently working through that one right now.
Lovely. Love that. And this will be interesting because, I believe that we're publishing this. It'll be before the finale of Stranger Things hits. So everybody can be in anticipation with all of us too who are watching that whole show. And it's a great book rec there. Is there a particular social post or a piece of media or even a hot take about events that you found interesting lately?
You're seeing a lot of thought leadership and people trying to give their opinions on the types of experiences that will happen next year as it pertains to the size of the event. A lot of people are talking about these large scale events. I was at Amazon reInvent last week. I don't even know how many thousands of people were there. It was crazy. Getting through the hallway, you're just it's shoulder to shoulder with people. They're everywhere. And so there's a lot of thoughts around, smaller, more intimate experiences versus these large scale formats. And I'm in the mindset where I'm starting to agree that the small to mid-size events are more impactful than these large conferences. I think there's a time and a place for those, of course. Yeah. But some of the things that I love that we do at Glean is our user conference is about 1,000-ish people. This summit we're doing in the next couple of days is 50 really, it's very intimate. It's 50 people. I think we get a better chance as a brand to connect with individuals that way. And so again, time and a place for the large ones. I think that all makes sense for the right brands and for the right companies. In my view, it's more impactful on the small to medium size. So I've just been reading a lot of people's posts about that. right now.
Yeah, it's definitely in the zeitgeist, I feel like. And it certainly has been. It's cool that you point that out. Like, if anyone's listened to this year, 2025, or the episodes of this podcast, a lot of people been opining in that same way, where it's like, hey, intimate's better, smaller, more focused. The micro event is having a moment. So I really find that interesting. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that manifests over the next year. So all eyes to the events industry to see how that manifests and unfolds. But I just really skated through a very brief bio of you. So I want to toss it back to you briefly. Can you tell our listeners and our fans a little bit more about yourself, your role, your world? What's your day-to-day like, Chris? Let us know all the details.
Yeah. Thanks again. I lead our brand experiences here at Glean. So I run our flagship programs that we do as a brand. So things like Glean Go, that's our annual user conference, which is coming back to San Francisco next year, which I'm very excited about. I work with our wonderful head of events, Mackenzie Anderson, on my team, who runs our strategic events program here at Glean. I work across marketing on a lot of different things and very random programs, which we all kind of laugh about at work sometimes. Traditional brand advertising, customer experiences. We're actually headed up tomorrow for a 2-day summit that we're planning up north of San Francisco for some of our top customers as well. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff here, and I'm lucky to be a part of it.
Well, awesome. I mean, that all sounds very exciting. I think some of us might be feeling a little jealous because we're like, ooh, that sounds fascinating and awesome, but love hearing about your world and stuff. Now that we know a little bit more about you, let's get into the guts of this interview because we're actually welcoming you back. We've been doing this, and those of you who are paying attention, whenever Bizzabo, we host a webinar, we'll repurpose it and have a podcast episode about it. And then what we always love to do is have at least one of the panelists or featured speakers on that webinar come back and be a guest on the podcast here so we can expand, because we all know webinars, right? I mean, we're literally barreling through. You have so much time, which is not much, and we're just kind of trying to hit really high points really fast. Here, we have a little bit more time to expand. And let's say we could call this the extended edition of the AI Masterclass webinar that we recently hosted for Bizzabo. We kept you, if anyone didn't see that already, we kept you super busy in an epic show and tell for how event planners can use AI to get them further, farther, and faster. We had a sheer tonnage of people in that webinar who tuned in. It was very highly attended and still is on demand. So obviously, I encourage you all to go check it out. Who tuned in to learn what they need to know. It was also coming off your presentation at SEMA. So I'd love to hear, and I think our audience would love to hear too, what are you hearing from event planners when it comes to how they view AI and how they should be using it in their day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall tone of it is net positive for sure. There is definitely some skepticism, and I know we talked about in the webinar too, is that we talk about humans being replaced and people losing their jobs, and that is can't predict what the future looks like. Of course, we just know what's going on right now. What I know right now is that people should be using AI as a tool and a resource for them. I think some people have a fear of maybe potentially using AI and is it doing my job for me? Am I still the person that's doing everything that I my brain that I used to do? Is it still me? And so there's a little bit of maybe some imposter syndrome or some fright around what using AI tools may mean for them personally and their career and things like that. I think everyone's thinking about all these different things. But what I would encourage everyone is that the events industry is very much so an in-person planning experience. AI tools can help, as we shared in that webinar. It can be an awesome resource, and it can help you speed up your job. It can help you be more strategic versus tactical. But at the end of the day, the tools still need an overseer, and you are that person. And all the things that you have done in your past or are doing right now is still requires some creative thought of the human brain. And so I definitely am hearing that it's a great tool and it's a great resource, but I don't want people to feel like it's going to, in any time soon, replace what they're doing. And that should be an encouragement to go out and explore all of these different assets and tools that we have now.
Agreed. And you're so right. I love the analogy you paint for the orchestra conductor. Yes, it can do, sure. Maybe it can just go, go play me, a piece of a symphony, and it can do that, but it needs your instruction before it does it. And then how does that fit into the whole, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I know that there are some things that are working agents now that work autonomously, but it still needs, again, like you said, the person who's conducting the orchestra of all of the different things that you do. And not every part of that orchestra is AI, right? It's every part of your job, but that can be just one piece of or one instrument in the orchestra. And so, definitely want everyone to feel encouraged that this is a resource and can help you do your job better. But we don't need to worry right now about it replacing or taking your job.
Well, pivoting off of that, my next question does kind of address that direct, worry. I'm sure everybody is looking at the same feeds. We're seeing the same trends in hiring or possibly downsizing rifts and things like that we might be seeing by different brands and companies. So it can feel very like tumultuous or a little bit uncertain. I'd love to hear, like, how do you think knowledge or expertise in using AI and becoming proficient at being that orchestra conductor for AI, how do you think that'll figure into career paths for event planners and pros?
I think I heard Jensen from NVIDIA talk about that. Basically, the people that are going to be the next CEOs or executives at companies are going to be the people that know how to use AI the best and how to use it to their advantage. And I think everyone, not everyone's going to be a CEO or an executive one day. Some people love being ICs or an engineer or whatever it is, of course. But the people that are going to succeed in their roles will know how to use the AI tools. I think at this point, it's here. It's going to stay for a while, and so it's not like it's going away anytime soon. So I think people can really use these tools to take advantage of some of the opportunities that they may not have had before. And it's just another thing that, like, hey, if you're a graphic designer, you need to know how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And if you're a video editor, you need to know how to use Premiere Pro so you can edit things. If you're an events person, you need to know how to use Bizzabo or Cvent or some of these others, Marketo, Salesforce. But it's, why don't we just add the ChatGPT or Claude or whatever internal tool you have to your skill set, essentially. And that's just another thing. But I think people are putting too much emphasis on it being like the one thing that you need to know how to do. As we'll talk about, like, some of these tools, like, I don't know, I was trying to do some image generation recently and I could just not get it to work right. Like, it was not creating what I wanted to do. Or I uploaded a document to ChatGPT and I was trying to have it compare and contrast to data sheets and it just wasn't doing it right. Like, it's still not there yet. And so learning how to work through that and get your answer and work with the tools is a skill set. So I need to even continue to practice, like, what could I have done differently in order to make that prompt that I gave it work better. So, again, it's just something that we need to continue to work on and to add to our skill set.
I think it's super interesting too. I mean, if you think about an event planner, and we even covered this in the webinar a bit, where they in their brain have everything kind of visualized, like, how they want the booth to be laid out, or how they see a traffic flow, and how they see, the swag can be laid out here. And a lot of times they have to describe what they want to all the different vendors and the staff and the team that are helping them execute that vision, translating that then into talking to AI and saying, here's what I need from you, and giving it those instructions. Seems like that is a strong skill set for them. They already can build off of because they have it already. Now you're just using it with a chat prompt instead of an actual human being.
Totally. Yeah. It's just learning how to communicate with something different, right? Every person that you work with, or if you have a team below you, you need to manage individuals, right? You can't manage a team. You have to manage the people on your team. Yeah. People like to hear feedback one way. Some people like to be more direct or maybe more indirect. Some people they want to hear a positive thing before they hear a bunch of negative things about them. Some people are like, I don't care about that. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong. So it's the same thing, right? We just have to learn how to communicate with the tools and the people that we have working for us. So yeah, totally agree with you.
Well, at least we know if anyone who does use any of the AI chat tools and platforms, they're very effusive in their praise of the person giving them prompts. It's like the most self-aggrandizing experience you can go through. It's very affirming. So it can be a nice experience, and maybe sometimes a little more pleasant than talking to a frustrated human being. We'll see. Speaking of those prompts and that experience and using chat prompts, in the webinar, you went over the importance of context in prompts to AI and agents to deliver as close to what we need as possible. You just even shared, you're like, sometimes you're trying to get it to do something and you have to keep refining what you're telling it to do. So I'd love to hear from you. What are the most important details or instructions you think are necessary as we're providing that context to AI?
I think it depends on the tool you're using, right? So if you have an enterprise tool like Glean or Gemini or whatever you're using internally, sometimes that context is provided for you, which is really nice. But if you're using some of these public domain tools like ChatGPT or Claude and you're just using a pro account, I will say, before I say any of this, don't upload sensitive information or your company's financials.
Exactly. No social security numbers, people.
Yeah. Just we don't know. Just try not to do it. Use fake information and replace it later if you need to. Yeah. Sensitive information, not good. That's it. But with context, I think there's a few things. You need to give the AI tool a framework in which it's answering your question from. So I like to say, if I'm needing to get, let's say I'm preparing a deck for my CEO and I want to run the deck by it. I'm like, what am I missing? I'll say, like, you're the chief executive officer at a technology startup. Growth is really important. Brand awareness is really important. Like, give it like a role and a job, essentially. And so that it views whatever I'm uploading to ChatGPT basically and it has the lens of that's the job that it has. And so it's going to give me feedback based on what that type of person might want. And so I think giving it a role is really, really important up front. The next thing is whenever you are uploading anything, to be very organized and very specific with the data that you're uploading so that it can parse it out better. Because if it's kind of messy, unorganized, I think the reason why that while I was comparing and contrasting the data, it was kind of messy. I looked in the Excel sheet and it was like formatted weird. And so it just had a hard time parsing through it and understanding what I was even asking it to do. And so, the context needs to be organized. It needs to be direct. And you need to make sure that all of those things kind of work together as you then ask it to do something, whatever the question that you're asking it or the task you're giving it, kind of all that comes together in a very clear, direct way.
Again, you can kind of think of it. Obviously, it's got a lot of, the heft of computer processing behind it, right? And language learning models and stuff. It's just like if you were to hand off a whole messy stack of papers or binders or anything to a person, a human being, like, okay, go make sense of this. But you're not clear in what you want the outcome to be or the instructions, the more likely is it's gonna mess up, and it's gonna like give you something that's not what you asked for or not exactly specific to what the outcome that was that you wanted. So it does make all that sense to be like, you can't it's not going to read your mind, just like a human being. And
100%. And sometimes we think it's going to, and we get frustrated like it's not reading your mind, but it's literally like you're dropping off a piece of paper. It's like I'm dropping off that presentation on like some random person in finance's desk and just being like, hey, help me with this. It's a smart person. It's a smart thing. It knows what it's talking about, but like has no context for any of the, you need to give it some background before that person or thing would be able to give you any answer or feedback on it. So everyone needs to think of it basically as the same way.
Yeah. Plus, y'all, nobody wants it reading our minds. So let's just be clear. That's not what we want the next step to be.
I agree with that.
Let's stay away from that part.
100%.
I'm pretty sure everybody listening to this realizes that even if they are super hesitant still, have their own reasons to be hesitant or a little bit just like dubious about using AI, they know they need to. They know that it's there. And, I always look at it, anything that's unknown to you and you're like, oh, I'm scared of using it. Well, probably the best approach is to go in and okay, let me get familiar with what I'm talking about so I don't have to be scared of it and maybe I can actually use it. We'll be right back with more event experience after the break. Ever wished your event badge did more than just display your name? Whether you're an event organizer, exhibitor, or attendee, Bizzabo's Click Smart Badge transforms the event experience. From interactive networking to real-time attendee insights and lead capture, the Smart Badge is the ultimate game changer. Visit bizzabo.com/click. That's bizzabo.com/KLIK to learn more about the next generation of wearable event technology. Bizzabo, your partner for building conferences that captivate. We're back with Chris Duke to discover how we can each play a part in creating AI-first culture in our teams and workplaces. And so this next question kind of tees that up because even an event planner listening to this podcast might be like, yeah, I know I need to use AI. I'm on it. However, I might be working in a team that they're not all embracing it. It's fits and starts. And yes, I do have coworkers who are, or maybe I'm the coworker who is like hesitant to use it while everybody else is on board. So for those people who are still asking if they really do need to adopt or embrace AI for themselves and possibly a wider team, love to hear your advice. How can we create a culture of being AI first in a healthy, positive way for team leaders as well as team members and our colleagues?
I think being hesitant is like totally fair. And I think if that's how you're feeling about it, I'd like totally understand. I have seen the benefits of using it for myself. I've seen the benefit for my team using it. I have seen the company I work for as a company where have a project going on, basically trying to get everyone to start building agents and try to build things that help other coworkers and employees do their job better as well. So like using like the entire brain power of the company. So again, I've seen a lot of pros and a lot of benefits for myself and my team using it. And I think if you're feeling hesitant around it, it can feel overwhelming to like not know what to do or where to start. And again, like you said, it's one of those things where it's like, just try it and see how it goes and refine it and work on it. If it's one of those things where maybe you have a team too that's not necessarily utilizing it, there's a lot of things you can do for yourself in your day-to-day job where you can take advantage of it. If you feel like your team's not embracing it or you're trying to get everyone on board, like that's okay. And I think that's fine. But there are ways, if you feel confident and you want to use it, then you can use these tools to really benefit your own individual work, because everyone has their own task and things they need to get done. That kind of goes back to like the imposter syndrome thing again, too, is like, is the AI tool doing my job? Like, no, it's not. You're doing your job. You are commanding it. You are orchestrating it, like we talked about. And I think that's a totally fair place to be if you just need to work in a silo with it. I think what you'll start to see, and hopefully your manager or your skip level will start to see too, is like, wow, this person's like, they're doing their job. They're getting a lot done. This is like all very consistent. There's a lot of things that are going to slowly start to happen, which I've seen happen when people start having the AI first mindset.
Just give it a try. And I think too, it'll be really incumbent upon those leaders, especially the team leads and managers who are kind of overseeing a team dabbling in or trying to give the freedom to test and try and make mistakes and know that everybody's kind of getting used to it. And then, of course, setting the standard. They should be trying to use it too. But always, with that human factor, again, it's not like you want, AI is going to help me manage my team or manage my team for me. No, it'll support you, but not replace you.
One thing that I have thought about too was like when I turn something in or like a brief or something like that, and I send discussion questions over or something I use AI tools to help me with that, right? I give it context. It knows how I speak from a personalization standpoint, but it also has access to like the world's data, right? Like the internet. And it's able to pull in resources and different things that people are talking about right now. And that's no like fault to your own. And that's not something you should be like, oh, well, I didn't write that question, whatever. What I am encouraging folks too is if you're also on the management side and you're receiving things from your team that they are using AI tools, to not necessarily think, oh, they just used AI and they didn't do any of this work. You know what I mean? One time I sent over discussion questions in like an hour and my CMO responded like, love that you're being AI first. Cause like I was able to generate things way faster and then refine it and like edit it a little bit and like send it off. And they were a great set of questions. And so I appreciated not being said like, oh, you used AI, haha. Like it was no, like love that you're being AI first and that you are utilizing the tools and the resources we have internally in order to do your job better and faster. So some encouragement there for folks that are also managing teams to not like think poorly of anyone who's using them or using the tools in order to like expedite their work or to get things done faster and be able to move on to other things. So that was a small anecdote that happened recently.
I love that. And I think the more we can see that replicated by team leaders to be like, welcome it, embrace it. If any of us have kids who are going to school, and like I do, I've got 2 children, and it's like, I think that the teachers and professors are trying to strike a balance of like, we know it's out there. We want you to use it smartly. We don't want you to cheat. But that's not what you're doing here. That's not what you described. You really did just say, get me from a blank page. Now I'm going to apply my human brain to this and make it make sense for the deliverable I have to put forward to my manager. So yeah, just use your smarts, use your critical thinking. And again, great word to the wise for team leads and people who are managing teams that are starting to use AI. Embrace it and encourage them to do it. So love that. I love that you got that encouragement. That's great.
It was great. It feels good.
Exactly. I wanted to touch on something that is a bit more timely. I know we already talked about Stranger Things, which is very specific to this, this particular timeline. But speaking of prompts and images and how things, how we tell AI chat to develop something for us, there was this thing called Nano Banana Pro. I just love saying that too. It just rolls off the tongue. Nano Banana Pro took over internet chatter in the last couple of weeks. I know my feeds were full of people posting images they created. I even tried making one yesterday and it was pretty awesome. I'm assuming you've dabbled, but I did want to find out if you've dabbled yet and also get your thoughts about how generating images might be unique to how you prepare event briefs when using AI.
Yeah, I did mess around with it. And it's always funny when a new AI tool comes out. Like Sora started doing those like videos that you could use your own face in it. And it's basically just for the first like month, it's just memes.
Yeah.
No one's using it for anything productive. It's just people like generating, I don't know, cats on space or cats in space, or whatever, So I always find that to be funny whenever I hear something released. I'm like, all right, here comes the memes. I have played with it. I think it's an awesome tool. I've even started to seeing Nano Banana, whatever, being integrated into like Google Slides. So I was in Google Slides yesterday and it said like, it's like basically make this look better with Nano Banana. Right. And I did it and it was terrible. So like it just made what I'm trying to say is essentially like the tools are getting there. They're very interesting. They're going to help. Like basically wanted to redesign my slide using it. And it just ended up being this like cartoon slide looking. It was like, okay, that's very nice. It didn't really actually work. But what I appreciate is that the thought is that just happened like a month ago or 2 ago, like when that was released, and it's already being integrated into tools and products. And give it 6 months, and I guarantee you the thing that I click that makes it redesign my slide is going to look a lot better with model training and people using it and advancements in the technology. Like I know that it's going to get there. So I appreciate that things like that are already being integrated into work tools, essentially, to help us do our job better. Yeah. So again, great right now for memes. If you want to make a turtle, I don't know, riding a dolphin, eating spaghetti, that's great. But give it a little bit of time and we're actually going to really start to utilize the technology and the tools that are being released like that in a really productive way. And I'm really excited about that. And then image generation in general has come so far in the past, and, video generation too has come so far in the past year that I can't even imagine what the next year is going to be like. And for not only on the, again, better memes, but as well as people's job and them creating things for their work and helping them bring ideas to life. Like it's going to just continue to get better. Yeah. And that's another area that I think people continue to dabble in so that they, when the technology gets there and it's in a better place, like we're going to be able to take full advantage of it as event marketers.
Yeah, really the sky's the limit. And, you do think about, we just talked about a little bit ago about visualizing booths or traffic patterns or what swag will look like when it's near your signage and stuff like that. Maybe what your team's polos or shoes look like and things like that. It is just getting better. I was actually pretty impressed. I did try it out yesterday. I just had like my headshot without, just like shoulder up. I'm like, can you expand this out? So I'm, doing this thing. And it was like, and I had all the right fingers in the right places. So that was great. I felt really encouraged by that. I'm like, oh, good. You didn't make me into a 6-fingered human being. So that was great.
Yeah. And like probably 3 months ago, it would have. And it's already the last 3 months, we've made huge strides. I saw a video recently of it was like Will Smith eating spaghetti. And it was like 2023 to 2025. And it's crazy how different it is. So I can imagine what 26 and 27 are going to be. It's like on this exponential path to being really great. So definitely excited to see it.
Well, we'll have to have you back on at the end of next year and just be like, okay, what have we done? That's right. What have we generated? I would love that. I have one last question for you. It's the easiest question of all. Where can our listeners find and follow you online, Chris?
I'm like pretty bad at social media. So LinkedIn is probably the best. I'd love to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. I don't think I've posted on Instagram or anything in like 4 years. So I'm not really active on social media too much, but LinkedIn is the best way. I'd love to connect with anyone who's listening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be in touch with you to do that. Thanks so much. That's great. Chris is following his own skill-up advice for event planners by getting more involved in the great work his teammates and colleagues are doing and how his work impacts their outcomes.
The thing that I've been thinking about and really trying even on myself personally is to just be more involved in, it sounds weird to say, but be more involved in the work that I'm doing. What that means is events are it's this thread that goes between all the departments of a company from, you work with the CEO, you work with the design team, you work with the finance team, you work with product marketing, you work with the engineers. So you work with everyone. And that's very, very cool. It's very rare. That's like not a normal thing for most people on their day-to-day. People are very isolated at work and they kind of focus on their one thing. And the collaboration between departments is rare. And so we have this unique opportunity to work with everyone in events. And when I say get more involved in the work that we're doing, the thing that I've been really thinking about is how do I get more involved in the messaging creation? How do I get more involved in product messaging? How do I get more involved with the design team and to like help shape the things that they're going, like the way that things are going to look on site, rather than just being like, hey, I've got this event next week. I need a booth design. can you spin something up for me by next week? Let's have a conversation around like, what's my vision for it? What do I want the content to be? And when we're so busy, sometimes it's really hard to do that. But again, we have these tools now, like AI tools, where we can take a first pass. Like I take a first pass, try to at least, on like all messaging for events that I do, or taglines, or booth designs, or whatever that is. Like I try to take the first pass now using some of these tools. And that helps me just get more involved in the work that I'm doing, rather than being, I think project management's great. And I think event marketers are all project managers at the end of the day, but it can go beyond that. And I think that's great from a career standpoint. If for some reason in the future, you don't want to be in events forever, like there's opportunities for you if you're heavily involved in product marketing. Maybe that's something you're interested in, or content creation. Maybe you have a design bug and you want to go be a designer. I like to think of myself that I'm on the design team. And if anyone from my design team's listening to this, they'll laugh at that because I'm not very good. But I really encourage folks to like do more and like to be more involved in not just like receiving assets, but be a part of the building of those assets. And that's going to go for a long way in people's careers for many, many different reasons. And one of the ways that we're able to do that right now is using these AI tools. And that's why I've been very invested in learning more and more and using them more and more, because I want to be able to be like an asset on the team and not just someone who's like receiving assets and checking off boxes all the time, which again, time and a place, but ideally in the future, we can start to be just a little bit more in the weeds and involved in all the work we're doing.
Thanks again to Chris Duke for joining us on Event Experience. And thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love to hear it. Connect with us on social and subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you're listening. Also, don't forget to share the show with your colleagues and friends. You can find transcripts of each episode and key takeaways on bizzabo.com/podcast. On behalf of the team, thank you. We'll gather again soon for a new episode of Event Experience.